Welcome to the Psychology and Physical Training channel, Introduction to Reinforcement Theory. Have you ever wondered why we behave the way we do? Why do we repeat certain actions and avoid others? The answer might lie in B.F. Skinner's reinforcement theory. Welcome to a journey through the fascinating world of behavioral psychology, where we'll be exploring the insightful theories of renowned psychologist B.F. Skinner. Skinner's reinforcement theory offers intriguing insights into the reasons behind our behavior. It's all about the concept of reinforcement, the process where an outcome strengthens an individual's future behavior whenever that behavior is preceded by a specific antecedent stimulus. This theory is primarily based on two types of behaviors, respondent and operant. Respondent behavior refers to responses made to or elicited by specific environmental stimuli, while operant behavior is a kind of learning where an individual's behavior is modified by its consequences. These two types of behaviors form the bedrock of Skinner's theory. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the world of Skinner's reinforcement theory. Respondent and operant behavior. In the realm of Skinner's reinforcement theory, two types of behaviors play a vital role: respondent and operant. First, let's delve into respondent behavior, also known as reflexive behavior. This type of behavior is automatic and involuntary, triggered by a specific stimulus. Imagine walking down a dimly lit street, and suddenly a cat jumps out of nowhere. Your immediate reaction might be to jump back or scream. This is a classic example of respondent behavior, an involuntary reaction to an unexpected stimulus. On the other hand, operant behavior is voluntary and purposeful. Unlike respondent behavior, it isn't triggered by a particular stimulus. Instead, it's influenced by the consequences that follow. Let's say you're trying to train your dog to fetch. You throw a ball and your dog chases it but doesn't bring it back. You then decide to offer a treat each time your dog successfully fetches the ball. Over time, your dog learns that fetching the ball results in a tasty reward. This is operant behavior in action, a behavior that's shaped by its consequences. So how do these two types of behavior differ? Well, the key difference lies in their triggers. Respondent behavior is elicited by a specific stimulus, while operant behavior is shaped by its consequences. Respondent behavior is automatic and involuntary, triggered by an event in the environment. In contrast, operant behavior is voluntary and purposeful, influenced by the rewards or punishments that follow. Now you may be wondering, what's the role of stimuli in all of this? In respondent behavior, a stimulus triggers an automatic response. In our earlier example, the sudden appearance of the cat acted as the stimulus that triggered your startled response. In operant behavior, however, a stimulus can be a reward or a punishment that follows the behavior, influencing its future occurrence. In the case of training your dog to fetch, the treat acted as a positive stimulus, encouraging the dog to repeat the behavior. Understanding these behaviors is the first step towards grasping Skinner's reinforcement theory. Operant conditioning. Skinner built upon these ideas of behavior with his concept of operant conditioning. So, what is operant conditioning? It's a learning process that involves changing behavior through the use of reinforcements and punishments. When a particular action leads to a reward, we're more likely to repeat that action in the future. Conversely, if an action leads to a punishment or an undesirable outcome, we're less likely to repeat that action. Think of it like this. If you're learning to play a new instrument and you master a difficult piece, the applause and praise you receive would be the reinforcement. This reinforcement encourages you to continue practicing and improving. This is a prime example of operant conditioning at work. But it's not just about rewards. Operant conditioning also involves punishment. For instance, imagine you're learning to cook. If you accidentally burn your hand on the stove, the pain you experience is a form of punishment. This unpleasant experience would make you more cautious in the future, influencing you to avoid touching hot surfaces. Here's another way to look at it. Operant conditioning is like an ongoing dialogue with our environment. We perform actions, the environment responds, and we adjust our behavior accordingly. It's a constant cycle of action, consequence, and adaptation. Operant conditioning doesn't just apply to learning new skills. It also shapes our everyday behavior. The clothes we wear, the food we eat, even the way we interact with others. All these behaviors have been shaped, to some extent, by operant conditioning. So how does this fit into Skinner's reinforcement theory? Well, Skinner believed that the most effective way to understand behavior is to look at the causes of an action and its consequences. He called this the principle of reinforcement, and operant conditioning, with its focus on learning from consequences, is a direct application of this principle. So, in essence, operant conditioning is all about learning from the outcomes of our actions, whether they're positive or negative. It's about adjusting our behavior to maximize rewards and minimize punishments. It's a process that's constantly shaping our actions, our decisions, and our lives. Operant conditioning thus forms a key component of Skinner's reinforcement theory. Reinforcement, the centerpiece of Skinner's theory, is the process that strengthens the likelihood of a behavior. It's like the proverbial carrot on a stick, encouraging a rabbit to move forward. But let's remember, not all carrots are created equal, and neither are all reinforcements. There are two primary types of reinforcement: positive and negative. Now, before you jump to conclusions, positive doesn't mean good, and negative doesn't mean bad. Instead, positive reinforcement refers to the addition of a pleasant stimulus to increase a behavior. For instance, when you give a dog a treat for sitting on command, you're using positive reinforcement. On the other hand, negative reinforcement involves the removal of an unpleasant stimulus to increase a behavior. Think of it like this: you're driving, and the car's annoying seatbelt not fastened alert keeps beeping. You fasten your seatbelt and the sound stops. Voila, that's negative reinforcement. The unpleasant stimulus, the beeping, is removed, increasing the likelihood that you'll fasten your seatbelt in the future. Now, let's introduce the concept of reinforcement schedules. These are essentially the rules defining when a behavior will be reinforced. Skinner identified 4 types: fixed interval, variable interval, fixed ratio, and variable ratio. Fixed interval schedules provide reinforcement for the first response after a fixed time has elapsed. Like a weekly paycheck, it comes at a set time, regardless of how much work has been accomplished. Variable interval schedules, on the other hand, reinforce the first response after varying time intervals. Think of a pop quiz in school. You never know exactly when it will happen, so you're encouraged to always be prepared. Fixed ratio schedules reinforce behavior after a set number of responses. For instance, a coffee shop might offer a free coffee after every 10 purchases. Lastly, variable ratio schedules provide reinforcement after a random number of responses. This is the principle behind slot machines and lottery tickets: unpredictable but potentially rewarding. Through these reinforcement schedules, Skinner explained how the timing and frequency of reinforcement can impact behavior. Understanding these dynamics can help us shape behaviors, in ourselves and in others, in more effective and sustainable ways. Summarizing Skinner's reinforcement theory. So what does Skinner's reinforcement theory teach us about human behavior? Well, it offers us a fascinating lens through which to view and understand our actions and reactions. Let's take a quick stroll down memory lane and revisit the key points we've discussed. We started by dissecting behavior into respondent and operant types. Respondent behavior, remember, is the automatic reflexive response to specific stimuli, like salivating at the sight of food. Operant behavior, on the other hand, is voluntary and guided by the consequences that follow it. It's like learning to avoid touching a hot stove after getting burned once. We then delved into the heart of Skinner's theory: operant conditioning. This is the process of learning through rewards and punishments. Positive reinforcements encourage behavior by providing a rewarding consequence, while negative reinforcements encourage behavior by removing an unpleasant consequence. And then there are punishments, which deter behavior by introducing an unpleasant consequence or removing a desired one. But Skinner didn't just stop at the basics of reinforcement. He went a step further and introduced the concept of reinforcement schedules. These are the rules that determine when a behavior will be reinforced. They can be fixed or variable, and they can be based on time intervals or the number of responses. These schedules, Skinner found, have a profound effect on the speed and stability of learning. Skinner's reinforcement theory doesn't just live in textbooks or lecture halls. It's a part of our everyday lives. It helps shape our habits and decision-making processes, and it's widely used in fields like education, therapy, and even business. Understanding this theory means understanding a fundamental aspect of what makes us tick. With this understanding of Skinner's reinforcement theory, you're now better equipped to understand the complexities of human behavior. Thanks for joining us on this psychological journey. And if you like this video, do not forget to subscribe and follow the Psychology and Physical Training channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.